I'm a big fan of Malaysia. It was a country that I found very easy to live in. It has a beautiful balance of green parks, beaches. It has all the things that seduce expats to stay here and live here. Wonderful schools, restaurants, cafe society. It has many world-class benefits in being here. It has wonderful concerts. It has some of the best sports events here. So I never feel that I'm too far away from home because everything generally comes to our doorstep in Malaysia. So we're very well positioned.
I would say it's, in many dimensions, it's pretty much of a paradise. I think the weather is absolutely perfect, and I love the idea that it's summer all year long. For me, it feels like summer all year long. I love the diversity of very urban and modern KL with very remote and wild and countryside and landscapes and of different places in the country. You have very big companies, so very big career opportunities as well, and so I think it's really a good combination, in fact, of many things. For me, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit of a paradise.
I love it. That's why I'm still here after all these years. You know, contrary to many Malaysians, I love the weather. It's just great to come home and change into t-shirt and shorts. I love the greenery. I love life is easy here. You know, everybody speaks English. There's lots of cultures here. There's lots of excitement here. Things are very affordable here. And Malaysia has a fantastic talent pool.
I think it's a great place. I mean, our cultures are very similar. The food is fantastic, might be a little too good because we tend to overeat a bit here. And you know, work environment, the people are amazing. I mean, I think it's the culture, it's the people in Malaysia that makes life here so great. And in terms of infrastructure, in terms of ease of getting about, you know, you don't really need to know anybody. You can still get things done, and lots of places to go to and lots of things to do. So it's really brilliant. I'm enjoying myself here. My family loves it.
Well, I think Malaysia is the right balance for anybody to basically work, because it has a cultural diversity. Why I say cultural diversity, from Sri Lanka, where I am coming from, we have Malay population, so it's not new as a country as well. And then from the food, it's quite similar to what we have back home, and then you have all this diversity of people. And from a work point of view, it's a broad area because we have a lot of expats working here, and as well as you get a lot of exposure because it's more like a regional center. And so during the last 2 years, I've got so much experience while working in Malaysia as well. And the culture itself is very friendly people, and you can easily blend with, and it makes very much a homely environment. And my wife really likes Malaysia as well, and I think it gives the right balance. It doesn't give too much of both, and from a family point of view as well, to be in Malaysia, I think it gives you that family values, set of values, because you have a traditional set of values as well, and then you have the modern side of it as well. So I think from a cultural and then also from a value point of values that the country holds, it's a right place for an expat like me.
I think I've been so used to, as a typical expat, every 3 years just moving on and not considering having a base anywhere or seriously thinking about the advantages of living in a country. And the past has enabled me to look at the wider benefits for me as an individual to live here. And of course it means that I'm not tied to one employer. Not that I'm considering leaving, but it gives me the flexibility to explore other avenues. And I think more broadly, if I was considering starting a business, it gives me the flexibility to do that.
Just the idea that you know that you're going to be here, if you want, for longer than the duration of your contract, means that suddenly you think long term. And things you probably wouldn't do, like buying a house, thinking about a career long term in a different companies than the one who brought you here.
Well, the previous 18.5 years was pretty much, you know, you apply for the work permit, you need to go to the agent, and some agents are not as you know, as straightforward as others, I guess. But it's always a bit of a crossing the fingers time. And then when I heard about the residence pass, a couple of my friends had applied for it, had gotten the approval quickly, and they were raving about it. So I wanted to know more, and I looked into it, and I thought it's almost too good to be true. But then I thought, no, it's time. Let me apply, which I did, and yeah, it was true. So within, I think, 6 weeks, I had the pass in my passport, which is great.
And the resident pass gives us a lot of stability, because I can even go around somewhere and I don't have to worry about dependent visas for my children and my wife. My wife had a very challenging time to get into employment some time ago, but had we had the resident pass, the employment story becomes that much easier. So I think it's very, very beneficial, both personally, and it gives you a lot of security, which is really the key thing. You know that you don't have to shift at a drop of a hat. It's much more, stable.
Well, I mean, the first priority, I think, as the most priority that I would look at is it doesn't tie you up with any company in the future, because it gives you that flexibility that with your talent you can move across different organizations, because you've got a 10-year visa. Because most of our contracts are limited to 2 years or 3 years, and then we need to renegotiate or go back to our home countries or to another country. So I think it's a sad point, because from an expense point of view, the country develops that person over a period of time and then let goes. So from that, it gives a benefit for me to basically stay back in Malaysia, because we've liked the place.
Well, I would first and foremost ask people to immediately go to the website, because that's exactly the starting point for me. It was very comprehensive, it's very concise, it tells you exactly what you need to do in order to qualify. And once you have all your documents together within 2 weeks, that's what the timelines were for me, I was given a decision. So I think the website is a wonderful tool in order for you to understand what the advantages and the benefits are for you as an individual. But I think beyond that, if you're here with a family, then it allows you to see why you should go through the process as well. So it's convenient, it's easy, and it makes a great deal of sense, especially that Malaysia is a growing and emerging economy, and there's such a vibe and such a buzz about being here.
I don't understand why not apply for it. In fact, I don't see any downside to applying for it, because worst case, if you end up not liking living here, it doesn't really makes a big difference to you. But probably the fact that suddenly you will feel yourself part of a community probably will start to make you look at the country differently, and probably give you reasons to stay.
And then I think it's a very straightforward process, so it's not cumbersome and not too technical. And I always tell them that it's always better to have the PR residence pass as part of your backup, in case the company decides to finish your contract or you have to go back, and if you still want to continue here. And since Malaysia is a country to be with all the aspects from work and then culturally as well, as then you can settle in and stay for a long period, I think that's what I always drive the information to the other expats.
We all like to come and work in places and move around, etc. But after a particular bit of time, when your children specifically are going through like middle school, senior school, you want some level of stability. I mean, it's like going to Australia or London or America, where you know there's a in process where you can stay and settle down there. So here, having the resident pass, I think for a lot of the expats, the benefit is they come and work here, and they can actually see some security coming in by getting your resident pass. It gives you stability, and you don't have to worry about, okay, in 3 years' time, where am I going to be? That question, you can really invest in property or buy a decent car, whatnot, with a longer term view.
Well, I would say if you qualify, there's a couple of requirements. If you qualify based on those requirements, I would say apply. And why wouldn't you? I mean, it's attached to yourself, gives you a lot more freedom. You're not at the mercy of your company, not wanting to renew and maybe want to put you in another country. for your next posting, but this is really something that's attached to you. So if you want to, like, good example is myself. I left my previous company and now I joined a local company, and they don't have to worry about, you know, can we get a work permit for this expat? Yes, no, because I had the residence pass, so that's not an issue at all. So it has definitely benefited me.